Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. So let's start with today's session. We are going to discuss some more setup in AP module in today's session. So first, let's talk about financial options in it. So we use this financial options window to define the options and defaults that you use for your Oracle financial applications. So basically financial options and after financial options, we are going to discuss about payment system setups and payable options. So basically what we do is we define some of the criteria or options or fields here in these options, and whatever we defined here, it gets defaulted for use in your Oracle financial application. So basically these options are used for that purpose, so that you can just fill your required parameters in this option and it gets defaulted for use in your Oracle financial application. So first is financial options. So what you need to do is you only need to define these options and defaults once, and you can also update them at any time. If you change an option and it is used as default value elsewhere in the system, it will only be used as default for subsequent transaction. Like you have defined your payment terms first in first place as immediate, but now you want to change it to net 30. So what will happen when you will change your payment term from immediate to net 30? Net 30 will be used as default for any new supplier you enter, but for the rest of the supplier which are already existing, the payment term immediate will be only uh, will be affected. So it will make the changes uh, from the subsequent transaction when you will change it. So basically what you can do is you can just go to this option, and as per your requirement you can fill the required parameters there and they gets defaulted. But if you want to change them, you can also change them at any time. But one should keep in mind, when you will change it, it will be applicable from the subsequent transaction. It will not give any effect to the present or existing transaction in it. So this was an financial option. So let me take to the instance and give you the overview of the financial options, that how it looks like and what are the tabs in it. Then we will discuss about it one by one. So let's log into our instance. So after login, as you remember, in yesterday's session, we have created responsibility regarding accounts payable, and we have also assigned the same to our user with the profile options in it. So first we need to go to this responsibility only regarding our accounts payable. You need to go to EBS, and in EBS you need to go to setups. In setups you need to go to options, and we are discussing about financial options. So we will select that. Just open it. So you can see, firstly, our operating unit is defaulting here, which we have created by creating primary ledger. So it is coming here. Now you can see here are different tabs. First is based on accounting, then second is related to supplier purchasing, then there is encumbrance, then tax, and human resource. So these are the tabs which you can see in financial options, and there are various parameters here you can see. With some are mandatory, some are optional. The one which are in yellow faded color are mandatory in nature. So you are mandated to give the information in this field, rest are optional. So basically you can fill this options from here. So let's discuss first about this accounting tab. So in accounting financial options, first you can see there is a future period here. It's future period, and then there are various GL accounts which you need to link here. Fine. So What is future period? It helps payable display the number of future period for use in your set of books. Payable use this value to limit the number of future periods you can maintain in the control payables period window. You can enter invoice in future period. So what is future period? We have also seen this future enterable period um, when we create a primary ledger. Then at that time when we specify ledger options, we need to specify there also our future enterable. In the same manner here also you need to give a future period, like you can give as one or two as per your requirement what is the future period. And you should keep in mind that you can only enter invoice in this future period, you cannot post it or do anything else. So only for entering purpose this period will be there. So as per your requirement, let's go back to our application. You can just fill here your future period. Like my future period is one, so I will give one as future period. 1 month extra will be open in future enterable in AP. Then there are various GL accounts there like liability, prepayment, bills payable, discount taken, then purchase order rate, variance, gain, loss, expense clearing, miscellaneous, and retainage. So what you can do is you can just fill all the accounts here. You can see liability, prepayment, discount taken are mandatory here to give, and rest are optional. So basically you can give your account when this account will be needed further in the EP module. They will get defaulted from here, from the financial option. So let's fill the various accounts here one by one. Let's give now prepayment. Now bills payable is not mandatory, but I'm giving it. Next is discount taken. Should be 7. Now let's give this variance, gain and loss account also. One more account I'm giving here of retainage. So basically, three are mandatory, rest are optional. As per your requirement, you can just fill these options here. Fine. So we are done with this accounting tab here. So what was the information which we required to fill here is to give the future period and rest of the GL accounts which it is asking for. Now the next is supply purchasing. Let's get back to our PPT. So supply purchasing financial option. The option you define in this region, except for inventory organization, are used as default value for the purchasing region of the supplier window. The supplier value defaults to new supplier side of the supplier, which defaults to new purchasing document for the supply side. So basically, whatever we are doing here, we are giving the financial options for supplier purchasing. So when we will give here any information like what is your ship to location, bill to location, and all. So when we will create supplier or supplier side, all the information from here will get defaulted to that place. So basically, rest is not mandatory. Only one thing in mandatory is coming, inventory organization. So when yesterday we were discussing about the inventory organization, I told you that inventory organization is not configurations are not mainly concentrated in AP module, but we are still making inventory organization because in one of the options we need to give it as a mandatory field. So this is the financial options where we need to specify our inventory organization mandatorily. That's why we have created our inventory organization yesterday. So whatever we have created yesterday, we are going just to select that. So you can see it is coming PPR EBS inventory organization. This PPR is nothing but the organization code which we have used there while creating inventory organization. So basically this was the role of inventory organization. So this is the only mandatory field. So I'm filling this only. Then there is encumbrance, tax, and human resource. So encumbrance, to use encumbrance accounting or budgetary control, you must install payables, purchasing, and journal ledger. Use this region to enable encumbrance accounting and to specify the default encumbrance type payables assigned to your invoices and purchasing assigned to your purchase order and requisitions. So basically this is encumbrance. Then human resource, use this region to enter the option and default for entering employee information in the enter person window. So basically human resources useful for defaulting the employees information. And then there is a text tab which we have seen. So there are two things which it will ask us to fill here is member state. So member state is the location of a company or organization. People use this country name to determine if your company or organization is located in a member of state of European Union. So basically member state is used for that. And then there is VAT registration number. It is value added tax registration number of your organization. Your organization is assigned a VAT registration number if you are registered to pay VAT. The first two characters of a VAT registration number are the country code of the country or state where the registered company or organization is located. Payables print this number on the header of the intra EU VAT audit trail report. So basically, it is very important for reporting purpose also if your organization is registered in VAT. So it's important you need to give a VAT registration number here because in while giving a VAT audit trail report also this payables print the number of this VAT registration on the header of it. So basically it is very important to give here if you're registered in VAT. And then member state is nothing but if you are the member of the state of European Union. So for identifying that you need to give a member state here. So basically these were the three fields which we are going to fill here. So in supplier inventory organization were mandatory, I filled that. So encumbrance, I didn't require anything for now, so I'm not using anything here. And in tax also VAT registration, I'm not giving anything. In member state, I'm giving United States as the member state. So I've given here this. Then the next is human resource. Basically, for it is helpful for defaulting information of the employees. So basically, what is the business group your belongs to, and expense reimbursement address can be home or uh, office or provisional, any address you can give here. So basically, you can see by default. Home is coming. If you want to change, you can change. Like if you want office to be an expense reimbursement address, you can uh, give that. Then if you want to use approval hierarchy, just enable this checkbox. Then employee number. So by default, it is coming automatic and next automatic number, what will it will be, it is giving here that. So basically, this is fine. So employee number will be automatically generated and from where it number will start, it is displaying that also. So basically, it's all about the employee information here. So here we have discussed some of the tabs like accounting, supply, encumbrance, tax, and human resource, which are the part of financial options. And as per the requirement, you can fill these options here. Fine. So I have just filled as required and mandatory ones. And now after giving all the information here, just save your work. You can press Control and S, or you can just save from here also. Fine. After that, just close this form. So this was the financial options. Now moving towards two more options here, payable system options and payables option. So one by one, we are going to see both the options here. So let's directly go to the instance and see what is payable system option. So navigation is same. You need to be in the responsibility of accounts payable only. Then you need to go to the setups and to options. So we have seen financial options. We are now talking about payable system options here, payable system setups here. So here basically you can see only one tab is coming related to supplier. So all the information which you are going to give here is about the supply here. So first tab is talking about the supplier number. So supply number, you want it to be entered automatically or manually. You can give here. So I'm taking automatic only. Then type will be numeric, alphanumeric, what you want your supply number should be generated in. So you want alphanumeric, you can go for alphanumeric. If you want numeric, you can go for numeric. So I'm taking numeric only, and it is giving next automatic number what from where it will generated. Then there is a control heading, so invoice match option. So if you want, you can match your invoice based on like receipt or purchase order. So you can choose anyone as required. Then if you want to hold unmatched invoice, you can just enable this checkbox. So what will happen if any invoice is unmatched? It will place a hold on it. So hold and release is the another concept apart, which we will hopefully see in our session. Or you can just understand like that if there is an invoice when you are going to create an AP and it is unmatched, so it will place a hold in it. When you will validate an invoice, it will not allow us to move further there. So if you want, you can just enable this checkbox. Then there is a payment heading. Here you can specify your invoice currency. If you want a specific currency to be defaulted, you can just place any currency here, like I'm giving USD for now. Then pay group. So pay group is like when you enter a new supplier, you want that supplier into which group. Like there are various kind of supplier you have. Some are domestic suppliers, some are in foreign countries, so they are foreign suppliers. So you have created two pay groups like domestic and foreign. So you can just give a any group here, like you have two groups, domestic and foreign. So if a supplier which you are entering as a new supplier, it's belong to a domestic one, so you can give a pay group here as domestic. If it's from the foreign group, you can give a foreign as a pay group. So basically pay group is for that, and by default this is coming standard only, so I'm taking standard only here as the pay group. So basically it's help us to differentiate the supplier on the basis of the group. Then there is a term date basis. So what is term date? Basically payment term which we have discussed, and we are going to discuss in today's session also in detail. So payment term is like a due date. So like due date of your for paying any invoices like 30 days. So from where this 30 days calculation will get started will be depending upon this term date. So term date can be based on the system date. Goods received, it can be calculated from the date where goods are received, from invoice dates or invoice receipt date. So basically it depend upon the user what it want to be the basis for the term date. So I'm taking invoice only. Then there is a pay date basis. So pay date determines the pay for the supplier invoice. Like it can be discount or due. There are two options. You can choose any, taking the default one only here as due. Then payment terms, like payment terms can be various types of payment term, like immediate. Immediate means it is due for payment for today only. So it is coming by default as immediate only. If you want, you can take as at 30, 45, or whatever your payment term you want to come as default when you select the supplier. Fine. So it is coming immediate. I'm taking that only. Then there are two check boxes here. Always take discount and create interest invoice. So there is a different concept of interest invoice calculation. If you want to enable that for the supplier, here you can just enable this checkbox. And if you don't want to, then you can just disable only, disable the checkbox. So basically, this is all what is there in payable system setup. It's all basically depend for the supplier only here. So after giving all this information here, just save your work and just close this form. So this was payable system setup. Fine. Now the next is payables option. So we have seen financial options. Where there we have discussed about different types of incumbrance tax, human resource, accounting, and supplier purchasing. Then we have seen payable system setup, which talks all about supplier. Now we will see payables option. Payables option also contain various type of tab in it. and various type of information is required to be filled there. So let's talk about the payable option. So these are the control option used as default throughout the payable to simplify supplier entry, invoice entry, and automatic payment processing. So basically, it's very helpful to get a default value when you specify here. Whenever you put any information in these options, it will get defaulted in the further AP setups. Or I can say further AP tasks, like when you are entering supplier, or you are entering the invoice, or you are generating the payments, it will be very helpful in that time. So let's take the payable options. Okay, let me open this in Java form. So navigation is same. You need to be in the AP responsibility only. Go to setups, go to options, and there you can find payables option. Just open it. So here you can see various tabs are coming. Like first is accounting option, then there is currency, then there is tax reporting, invoice approval, matching interest, expense report, payment, and then there is a withholding tax, supplier and report. So there are various tabs here, and one by one we will go to each of the tabs and see what all options are available here. So first was accounting option. So here you can say by default many things are auto populated here, but coming like if you go to this payment accounting, account for payment, when you want to account for payment, when payment is issued, when payment is clear. So as per your basically these option setups are user specific. So as per the user requirement, you are need to specify all this option here. So whatever require, I have a requirement here, I'm just selecting all the options on the base of that only. Then account for gain or loss, when payment is issued, when payment clears, have just enable all this checkbox. Bills payable account source can be from payment document or from supplier side, from where you want. So using the default one only, payment document. Then there is automatic offset method. It can be none, balance in accounts. So what is automatic offset method is when you enable automatic offset by selecting account or balancing as your offset method. If you want payables to automatically create balancing entry for your invoice and payment transaction. So when you will enable this options apart from the none option, what will happen? It will automatically, payables will automatically create the balancing entry for your invoice and payment transaction. So if you enable automatic offset for your invoice transaction, payables create one offsetting liability distribution for each invoice distribution according to the offset method you choose. So there are three methods you can choose. Here is none. If you will choose none, there will be no use of automatic offset. For your invoice transaction, payable creates one liability distribution, and for your payment transaction, payable create one cash type payment distribution. Then there is account and balancing. In account, what will happen when you will create offsetting? When you create offsetting liability account, payable uses the expense DL account from the invoice distribution and overrides the account segment with the default liability account from the supplier side. And then if you will select balancing, then payable uses the supplier side's default liability account and overrides the balancing segment with the balancing segment from the expense distribution GL account. So basically, it's a wide concept of automatic offset method. In simple term, if you want to understand what is automatic offset method is, you can choose on the basis of like you can go for none, balance, and the account. There are three options. Fine. So if you will select none, no automatic offset will be come into play. But if you will choose apart from none, then what will happen? Payables is going to create a balancing entry for your invoice and payment transaction automatically. Because what happened when we enter a journal entry, it will get balanced by on the basis of the balancing segment which you have defined in your charts of accounts. So apart from that, for rest of the segment, this offset or automatic offset method will balance the entries for your invoice and payment for all the segments here. So basically, automatic offset method is used for that purpose. So whatever you want, you can just choose it from here. I'm not using any automatic offset method here. I'm going for none only. Then discount method you can choose. Prepayment account can be from supplier side to purchase order. You can choose that. Then interest system account or prorate across invoices. How whatever you want, you can just go for that. So it was accounting options here. Now going to the currency tab. So if you want to use multiple currency, you can enable this checkbox. If you require exchange rate entry, you can enable. If you want to calculate user exchange, you can enable here checkbox. And if you want to use invoice exchange rate on prepaid expense for tax, you can enable this checkbox. So I'm not requiring all the four. I'm just enabling this use multiple currencies here so that we can deal in multiple currencies. Then there is exchange rate type. Sorry. Then there is exchange rate type. So what is exchange rate type? So payable uses this default rate type when you enter invoice or create payments. So there are four types of exchange rate. First is user, used to manually enter your own exchange rate during invoice entry or at payment time. Then there is spot, daily exchange rate, which is quoted in market rate. When you specify spot rate type, payables automatically enter the invoice exchange rate from GL daily rate table. Then there is a corporate one, a standard market rate determined by senior management for use throughout your organization. When you specify a corporate rate type, payables automatically enters the invoice exchange rate from GL daily rates table. Then user define an exchange rate type you define in the define daily conversion rate type window. You can define as many exchange rate types as you need. When you specify a user defined rate type, payables automatically enters the invoice exchange rate from a daily rate table. So basically there are four types: user, corporate, spot, and user defined. User defined is nothing but the customized one which you can load in the from the daily conversion rate type window. So you can go for any of the four. I'm going for corporate. So I will take here exchange rate type as corporate and search for it. Now let's give the accounts, GL accounts. Here also we need to specify and all the three are mandatory. So let's specify all the three accounts here. Fine. So this was a currency tab which we have done. After that, there is a tax reporting tab. So basically, you can see there are two options coming like checkbox coming like combined filing program and use specified tax region. So basically, this tab is useful for tax reporting purpose. So combined filing program enable this option if you are using 1099 combined filing program reporting. So when you are using this reporting program, you can just enable here. And when you enable this combined filing program, you can also enable the use pay side text region. So when you enable you can enable this combined filing program if you're going for this program and you need to give your income tax region here. And when you're enabling this, you can also go for this use pay side tax region as well. So basically, it's nothing but for tax reporting purpose. This option is for that. So basically, depends upon the organization whether it's fall under this program, and using this program, you can just enable or disable the options on the basis of that and can give income tax region also here. Now let's move to the next tab is of the invoice. So basically, there are various options for invoice. You can default it from here. Like first is confirm date as invoice number. So basically, it's never happened that your date is only your invoice number. So I'm just going to disable this option. And rest, allow online validation required, allow document category override. You can enable this option. Okay, field is protected and okay. Then allow adjustment to paid invoice, recalculate schedule payment, allow remit to account override. And if you want, you can also allow remit to supplier override. If you want, like when you have made any entry in invoice, you have entered invoice, you have posted invoice. So when now you found that no, this is not the account, you want to override the account. You have taken or selected a wrong account, so you can go for accounts override. So basically, this option is for that purpose only. Then allow remit to supplier override. If you want to override a supplier remit to, then you can also go for that option here. Fine. Then there is real date basis. It can be on the basis of invoice date, system date, goods received, invoice date, or good received system date. So it's depending upon this four option. You can select any. Then there is a freight account if you want to give here. You can just attach your freight account as well here. Then if you want to give prepayment, payment terms, like for prepayment is the another concept. There is another in one concept of prepayment, like it is like an advance to the supplier you are giving, and then how you can just adjust that advance. So then in that case, prepayment comes into play. So if you want any specific payment terms for your prepayment, you can give here, like say there are various payment terms. Let's give any here. If you want, you can give, you can skip it also because it is not mandatory one. But I'm giving, let's say, immediate. Let's give immediate here as a payment term. If you want to give any settlement days for it, you can give. Or if you don't want, you can just skip it and move to the another tab. So there is approval. If you want your invoice approval workflow, like when you are entering an invoice, you want it to be approved. So you can put an approval workflow here. So for enabling this approval, you need to just enable this checkbox so that you can you can put a approval workflow for your invoice. So then when you will enable this, you can see approval processing sequence is coming into play here. It's get activated that you require validation before approval, require accounting before approval. You can use these options as well. And you can see allow force approval is coming here. Like it's happened. Generally, it is not very used in the real scenario, but force approval is like you have entered your invoice and it is pending for the approval and it's not got approval. After some time, you can just force it, force go for force approval and can go for the further processing of the invoice. So this option is for that purpose. So if you want, you can enable this, but not required. And if you want to enable this approval workflow also, you can enable it from here. So basically, for invoice approval, you need to enable this checkbox if you want your invoice to be approved in the application. Then there is matching. So there are four types of option with the tolerance here. Tolerance is nothing but a band which you can fix it for goods and services. Now that up to which rate or up to which bandwidth have you can allow the tolerance to move from in goods and services, right? So there are four options. Allow final matching. I'm going to enable all the four and we will discuss about all the four one by one. So with our PPT. So here you can see all the four options is here. Like first is allow final matching. Enable this option to allow final matching of purchase order matched invoice. You can indicate a final match when you match an invoice to a purchase order during invoice entry or when you adjust a match invoice distribution. So basically final matching is the matching between the invoice and a purchase order during invoice entry. Fine. Then allow distribution level matching. Enable this option if you want to allow matching to purchase order distribution. If you enable this option, You can match an invoice to one or more purchase order distribution. If you do not enable this option, payables only allow you to match an invoice to a purchase order shipment. Fine. So this allow matching to purchase order distribution. If you will enable this option, then allow matching accounts override. Enable this option if you want to allow override of the account for an invoice distribution created from matching to a purchase order. You can override the account for a matched invoice distribution in the distribution window of the invoice workbench. You cannot override the account for a matched invoice distribution if you use incompress account or perpetual receipt accrual. So allow matching accounts override if you want to allow override of the account for an invoice distribution created from matching to a purchase order. Then there is transfer purchase order descriptive flex field information. You enable this option if you want payables to automatically transfer the descriptive flex field information from the purchase order distribution to the invoice distribution when you match an invoice to a purchase order. So basically there are four options. You can enable or disable as per your requirement. I'm enabling all the four. Then there is interest. So if you want to create, there is a separate invoice for interest, like for overdue payment, there is some overdue payment and invoice on the invoice and it is liable for any interest calculation. You can create interest invoice for that. So if you want to allow interest invoice, you can just enable here, can give minimum interest amount here and can also give interest invoice accounts like expense and liability account, which will get defaulted while creating an interest invoice. So if you want all this setup here, you can just enable allow interest invoice option here. I'm not enabling it for now. Then there is expense report. Now, if you want an expense report, it is a different concept. Like there is one expense module for employee in which an employee submit its expense report and expense report and in and that expense report templates and all are created. So if there is any default template for your expense report, you can just put it here. Whenever you will generate your expense report, it will get defaulted from here. So if you want any default template here, you can just uh, give here. And if you want to apply advances, like if for employee you want advances to come into play and employee can apply their advances, you can enable the checkbox here. Then there is automatically create employer supply already enabled. Then if you want any specific payment term for that pay group payment priority, you can fill in the information here. Then hold unmatched expense report. If you want your expense report which are unmatched, you can want to put on hold on it, you can just check enable this checkbox here. So basically this all information is related to employee and employee expense report submission and their template and all. So if you want, you can just fill in all the information here. Like if there is any default template, you can just, so you can see here, nothing is coming. Let's find. So there is no default template for now here. So you need to create template. And if you want any template to specifically be a default template here, you can give that template here. So basically this was for all the employee information. Now there is a payment tab. So in payment tab, you can here see options are like discount, exclude tax from discount calculation. Then there is a single payment. Like if you want to exclude tax from discount calculation, when you're calculating discount, you want to exclude discount, you can enable this option here. And then for single payment, these three options are available. Like you want any payment to be in pre-date. So if you want that, you can just enable this option. If you want to allow void or reissuance of any payment, you can enable this. If you want to allow an address change, you can enable this. So these are the three options. Particularly for the single payment, not for the bulk payment, which we when we will go further in a session, we will see payment process request. These requests are used for the bulk payment. So I'm not talking about the bulk payment, I'm talking about the single payment only. So when we are going for single payment, there are three options. If you want any pre-date allowance or you want to allow a void or reissuance, or you want to allow an address change, you can enable these options from here. Then there is a bank charges related options like enable bank charge deduction from payment. If you want that, you can enable, and you can just link the deduct bank charges from payment account here. Then if you want to allow remit to supply override, allow document category override, you can just go for these options here. So not required in my case, so I'm not using anything here. Then there is withholding tax. So withholding tax is like some of the suppliers are unregistered one. So on the part of that unregistered supplier, you need to hold a tax amount and pay it to the income tax authority, to the government. So for that, withholding tax is very important. So if you want to use withholding tax, you can just allow it. So for the automatic purpose, then when you allow it, you can see tax group. You need to give a tax group here. Define any tax group here. Then allow manual withholding. If you want, you can go for it, but it's better to go for use withholding tax automatic one. Then there is apply withholding tax when you need to apply automatic tax, like at invoice validation time, at payment time, or invoice validation and payment time both. So I'm just taking at invoice validation time. So what will happen when invoice is created and entered and validated, it will trigger the withholding tax at that time. Then you want, there is a separate invoice created for the withholding tax. So if you want it to generate at the time of invoice validation, you can go for this option invoice validation. If you want it to create at payment time, you can go for payment time. If you want it for at withholding application, you can go for that. So I'm going for at with invoice validation time. So what it will do when we enter any invoice and when we validate, it will trigger and withholding tax, and it will also generate a withholding invoice at that time. Then withholding date basis can be on the invoice date or GL days. Now what is withholding amount basis? So basically, withholding amount basis include discount amount. Payables include the invoice discount amount when it calculate the withholding tax amount for the invoice. And if you will include tax amount, what will happen? Payable will include the invoice tax amount when it calculate withholding tax amount for the invoice. So basically what it will do, withholding amount basis can include discount amount as well as tax amount of the invoices, of the original invoices. So payable will include invoice discount amount when it calculate the withholding tax amount for the invoice. And if you will enable the tax amount, it will include the invoice tax amount when it calculates the withholding tax amount for the invoice. Fine. So what it will do when withholding tax will get calculated, if you will enable this discount as well as tax, it will consider both the amount here for calculation of the withholding. So giving all this information here, next is supplier. In supplier tab, you can go for invoice currency again here as we have discussed. Any particular default currency, any pay group you want, like we have discussed already for the standard ones. I'm taking that only. Then term date basis we have discussed, and pay date we have also discussed here. So basically, pay date base. The pay date basis default for each new supplier you enter. The pay date base for a supplier defaults to a new supplier site you enter for the supplier. You can override the default for each supplier and supplier site. Like there are two options: discount and due for pay date basis. So payable select invoices for payment based on the scheduled payment discount date. And if you will go for due, then what will happen? Payable will select the invoice for payment based on the scheduled payment due date, regardless of any available discount. So these are the two options. Then term date I have already discussed that payable uses as the date that payable uses as the payment term start date when payables calculate the due and discounted for the invoice schedule payment. So term date is basically used for that purpose. So it can be based on system date, good received, the date you received the goods for invoices you match to purchase order, then invoice date, or date you received an invoice, that is invoice received date. So term date can be based on these four things. So term date it is taking as invoice only, and pay date, let's say due only, taking due only. And if you want to give any particular payment term, you can give a payment term also here. Fine. Then there is a report tab. You can see this is for reporting. If you want report sorting, sort by alternate field, you could go for this. Not required. Just save it, save the work, and close it. So these are the three very important options we have seen. First is financial options, then payable system, setup and payables options. So there are various tabs you can see. We have seen that in the options there are various tabs, and for each and every particular step there are various field where you need to give your parameters according to the user. So and it will help us to get defaulted from this option to the desired field in the further process of in AP. So this is all about the options. And now let's move to the another thing is open payable accounting period. So in GL, as we know, in GL also we need to open a period for entering of any journal entries and all. So in AP also, we need to open period separately so that we can enter invoices and can do payment and do accounting for all this invoices and payments we are entering. So this is very important. So to open a payable accounting period. An accounting period that has a period status of never opened or future can be changed to open period. We cannot change an open period back to never opened or future. We can enter and account all transaction and payables in an open accounting period only. So as I've already said, if you want to enter any transaction and account any transaction in payables, you need to first open the accounting period. And there is one important thing that once you change the period status from never opened or future to open, you cannot change it back to never opened or future. So once it's open, it's open. You can just close it or permanently close it. So what is the navigation and how you can open your period is, let's go to this. Sorry. What is the navigation? If you don't remember, just press Control and L. All form functions will get opened here, and let's search with open. Okay, so it is the name is control payables period. So let's search with. Okay, let's navigate it. So for that navigation is you need to go to accounting. Here you can say accounting. Under accounting, you can see control payables period is coming. So here you can see all the period. So basically, when you do your GL setup, you also create a accounting calendar. So all the periods in the calendar are displaying here also. You can see. So whatever period you want to open, you can just select that, like we are in March 23. So let me open this period. So what you need to do, you can see status coming never open. Just go to this options, three dots, and select it as open and open this period. And if you want April also, you can just go to April, select open. If you want any period, just we have given future period as one in our financial option. You can open one period in future also. It will allow us to open one period in future also. So in future period, you can enter data, but you cannot use it or post it further. So I have opened two periods, March and April. So it's very easy. You just need to navigate to control payables period and you need to open your desired period here. And these are the periods getting reflected from where? From the accounting calendar you made in GL. So whatever calendar you made in GL, all the periods are reflecting here, and you can just open or what I can say, go for a future period from this options, from this control payables period or task or options. Fine. Just after opening it, just press Control and S, save the work, and close it. So this is how you have opened your period. Now the next thing which we are going to see for today is the payment terms. So basically, we are very much discussing about the payment term now and then in AP. These are very important because basically payment dates help us to get a due date. Like due date can be immediate, like you have taken some goods, you have purchased some goods from the supplier, or you have taken some services from the supplier. So what is the date when you're going to pay for that goods or services which you have received? So it's very helpful uh, uh, for finding the date or due date. So payment terms is useful for that purpose only, to get a due date for your for the payment of the goods and services. Fine. So basically, payment terms are used to automatically create invoice installment. You can define payment term to create multiple installments and multiple level of discount. So like I have given example, payment term can be immediate. Like today, it is due for today for the payment. It can be like a net 30, which means due after 30 days. It can be like 2/10/30, which means if the due date is 30, but if it will be paid within 10 days, it will get a 2% of discount. So in payment terms, there can be a multiple installment, and for each installment, what happens in the instance in the AP module here, it gives us the three levels of discount. Like for each installment, we can give three level of discount, like first discount, second discount, third discount. Then for another as installment, again we get the three levels of discount. So let's for the better clarity, let's take one example here. Like we have a payment term of net 30 days. So we need to pay all the installments by the end of the 30th date. Fine. So our payment is due for payment. Our payment is due within 30 days. Fine. So in this 13 days, there are three installment, two with 25% and one is with 50% here in the next slide. You can see. So these are two installment. First is 25% due within 5 days. Now for this first installment, it will give us three level of discounts. If you want, you can give three levels of discount. Like if paid within 2 days, 5% discount is given. If paid within 3 days, 3% discount is then, and after that there is no discount. Then when you will enter a second installment, which is due for 25 day, which is due 25% within 10 days, then again three levels of discount you can give here for this installment separately, like if received in 5 days, 3% discount. If received in 7 days, 2% discount. And after that, there will be no discounts. And then there is another installment of 50% due within 15 days. And for this, also three levels of discount you can give, but I'm showing you the two only. And two is if paid within 7 days, 2%. After that, there is no discount. So in this manner, you uh, can define your payment term. You can just so this example is to show you that there are various installment, multiple installment you can give for your payment term, and in for each installment you can give three levels of discount: first, second, and third discount. Now let's go to the application and we will use this example and we will create one payment term there of net 30. So let's go to application. Just press Control and L so that all the forms will get open here, and search for the payment term. So here it is payment terms. Just select and say OK. Now here is the payment terms. You need to give first name to your payment term. So let's say net 30. I'm giving. If you want to add any description, you can add. Okay, so this is already here. It should be unique. So I'm adding EBS here. Sorry. And if you want to add in description, like you can add, then cutoff date is a day. Like if you want to freeze your payment term for some days, like if you will give here uh, 2 or 3, so it will get freezes. Payment term will get freeze for 2 or 3 days. After that, it will come into play. So you can use this cutoff day for this purpose. Then there is a rank, then effective date. These are not mandatory fields, description, cutoff days, and rank. If you want, you can give, or else you can just ignore it. So mandatory is name. I have given name, and effective date is it is already coming today's date, so it's fine. Now due. So first you can see due. Due is nothing, the installment which we are going to give, and for each installment, as I said, first, second, and third discount is available. Three levels of discount is available for each installment. So first installment, as per our example, is 25% due in 5 days. So 25% due in days, I am going to give 5. Then I will go to first discount tab here. Then here I will give under discount 5% discount in 2 days. Then there is second level discount also for this installment. So I will go to the second discount tab. I will give percent here 3% within 3 days. Fine. So this is done. We are done with our first installment. Then I will go back to this. If you define a discount percent or discount amount, you must enter either discount days or days or months or 9 days. I have already entered. Okay, just a second, due. First discount I have given. Okay, I have not given here days. So it is, sorry, it is going to be like 2 days. Then in second discount, 3%, 3 days. So I have given all the details. I think it will not create an error here. Okay, fine. So I don't know why it in first place not taken the days. So maybe I skipped that. So basically, I have given the installment, and the first installment I have given the two discounts there, first discount and second discount. In the same manner, you can go for first, second, third. Basically, this discount per installments, how much installments will be there, how many installments will be there, and for each installment, what will be the discount, will depend on the user. I'm just giving information. I'm just giving one demo payment term here, that if you want to create an installments, and with installments, how you can give 3 levels of discount for second and third. Fine. The next installment was due for 25% only. And days will be, I think, 10, 10. Then first discount. I'm going to give discount here, 3% in 5 days. Then second level of discount, 2% if paid within 7 days. Then coming back to the installments, will be 7. Now the third installment is 50% due in 15 days, and 2% discount is available if paid within 7 days. So this is 15 days. Then only one level of discount I'm going to give is 2% paid within 7 days. Fine. So this is how you can create. So you can see here 100% is due within 30 days in total. And for each level of installment, we have separately given the discounts as well. So this is how you can create your payment terms. So I have given example of net 30. You can create n number of payment terms as required, like immediate, net 45, or else whatever is the requirement of the business user. So one thing which you should keep in mind here is of the discount. That for each discount, for each installment, there is 3 levels of discount you can give, first, second, and third. Fine. So, and it is very specifically given for each and every installments. So you can use this and use this payment term as per the requirement and create one. After that, okay, again, it is creating an issue. So after giving all the information. I don't know what is the problem, why it is giving this error again and again, because I have given the days in first place also. Anyways, after giving all the information, just save your work. Just press Control or S, or just click the save icon. Your payment terms got saved now. So this is how you can create a payment term. Very easy. Just you need to give all the installments, and for each installment, you need to specify your discounts also. So in today's session, we have covered basically all the options. We have seen financial options, then we have talked about the payable system options and payables option. Then after that, we have seen how you can open a payable accounting period, which is very important to enter and account all transaction in payables. Then after that, we have created one payment terms. So basically, these were all these were all the things. So we are done with today's session, I guess. So thanks for watching.